Be careful not to click this recap button when you start the game, otherwise you have to sit through 12 goddamn minutes of narration that explains the plot of the last game. That game was in no way complicated enough to need 12 minutes to recap it. Looks like the opening shot of the ocean in Sky Cliche has escaped the confines of Square Enix's Final Fantasy series and has made its way to Deus Ex.
I once thought I could save the world.
Narration. The Exposition News Network would like to take a moment to remind you that the world is screwed and you should be feeling no joy or happiness in your life due to events beyond your control. Now here's Phil with the weather. Good thing VTOLs come with these giant mission briefing screens. Otherwise Jensen's squad couldn't watch the evening news on the way to their next mission.
Not gonna go all wonky on us now, Hansa. Are you?
Unless this is your first mission with Adam, and I can't find any information that confirms that, shouldn't you already know whether he's a liability or not?
Well, if I do, McCready, I guarantee you'll never see it coming.
You are not inspiring confidence in anyone that you aren't going to go crazy and kill them with jokes like that. It's only been 2 years since millions died to berserk cyborgs. It's been 70 years since the Holocaust and you still can't make jokes about that without getting dirty looks, so you can't joke about this.
Am I gonna have a problem with you?
No, sir. No reason to assume you would.
Other than that joke I made about killing one of your men? No, not at all.
We're going after this man, an arms dealer named Shepard.
You should have had the mission briefing before you left base, not when you're minutes away from your target.
Do you plan on relying solely on your augments for this one? I'd recommend taking a little hardware.
Does this even need to be asked? Why wouldn't he take a weapon with him into a hotel filled with dangerous criminals?
Aren't we on the clock here? You said there's a sandstorm moving in.
So a sudden dangerous mission into Dubai during a sandstorm. Suddenly I'm getting Spec Ops The Line flashbacks. None of the Jinn soldiers notice these VTOLs flying over the hotel in broad daylight. As prevalent as the Iron Man landing is these days, it should go without saying that slamming your knee into the ground at high speeds is a terrible way to land. In the real world, destroying the control panel for electronic lock would mean you can no longer lock the door. In movies and games, destroying one will not only close the door, but permanently lock it. Also, electronic locks are a big deal in this game, yet in this cutscene, brute force is enough to bypass them. I'm not an illegal arms dealer, but I think I could come up with a more inconspicuous meeting place in a building in the middle of Dubai that requires the pilot to fly inside a hole in the building. How does that scope work when your eyes are covered? If it's just sending a video feed to the screen inside the helmet, then you don't need to look through the scope, do you?
Get after the weapons! Open fire! Open fire!
Which doesn't really make any sense, since we find out later that these golden mask guys work for the Illuminati, who most certainly don't need to crash an illegal augmentation deal to stock up. Military chopper can be completely disabled by opening a hatch and pulling out its battery, and that hatch wasn't even locked. If the sandstorm is this dangerous, why the hell was the VTOL trying to fly away in it? The game thinks it can get away with showing footage from the early marketing campaign for the last game. Adam's face doesn't even look like that anymore, guys. I honestly have no idea what's happening right now. A sandstorm blew in right as the ambush went down, Adam disappeared into the sand, and now I'm watching what could be a music video for a band I would likely come to despise for pretentiousness.
The search for survivors in Pangaea has been downgraded to a recovery mission.
The Czech Republic leads a growing list of countries calling for the relocation of its augmented citizens.
Multiple news reports over footage of tragic events in order to fill in all the relevant backstory of the world. Who needs to show when you can just tell? I hate this opening more than any other. Supposedly, the Illuminati sent their men to Dubai just so Interpol would see them so ARC could be framed for it. However, Interpol never makes the Dubai attack public, and the Illuminati risk their men being captured and interrogated by Interpol. And this is all rather pointless because they pin a bombing on ARC in the next scene. I never would have guessed that Bob Barker was the leader of the Illuminati.
The mission was a success.
This game gets a sin removed for bringing back Cliff Stevens to voice Bob Page from the original Deus Ex, one of the best villain voices of all time. You can't have a meeting between shadowy puppet masters without a globe somewhere in the room for the visual cue that these guys either control the world or want to.
I'll contact you later.
Then why did you call her to this meeting? You said nothing to her, and by later he means the end credit scene.
Jaina seems to have eyes everywhere these days. He and his Juggernaut collective.
Janus won't be an issue. I've made arrangements.
Janus will totally be an issue, because your arrangements don't even come into play during this game. In fact, those arrangements are a setup for the sequel. Having a hologram meeting seems like a massive waste of time. In the last game, they used an encrypted voice chat program for this. Waking up on a train before walking through checkpoints in an Eastern European city under martial law while being harassed by masked soldiers and scanned by flying drones? Suddenly, I'm getting Half-Life 2 flashbacks.
The task force is an Illuminati front, like we all suspect. Doesn't make much sense to send it into an ambush.
Considering that Task Force 21 does work for the Illuminati, the Dubai mission makes even less sense. That means the Illuminati sent two teams that work for them to the same location to fight each other. Adam and Alex go through the security gate marked for normals even though they are clearly AUGs, and security is pretty much okay with that. At least Adam has the excuse that he works for Interpol, but Alex works for the Juggernaut Collective, a criminal group of hackers, so how does she get away with this? Any explosion that destroys everything around you will in all likelihood destroy you as well.
Do you hear that?
Adam hears just one person screaming for help after the metro station is bombed and goes to help. In that situation, there would be hundreds of injured people screaming. Wouldn't all of your augmentations have been malfunctioning before you went to sleep if they were rattled by the explosion? The first time Adam notices the malfunction warnings on his HUD is 30 hours later after a night's sleep. I'm not really sure why they hit Adam's ass with steam. I don't think the ESRB considers metal and plastic butts to be nudity.
Adam! Thanks for calling me back, son.
I've been waiting in front of my vidcall station all night since I left that message for you.
Surprised you even know I'm here.
Interpol called me when you applied for the job, part of their extensive background checks.
That means you only knew that Adam now works for Interpol, not that he would be in Prague, or that he was caught in the explosion.
You heard anything from Megan?
You want my advice, son? Write her out of your life.
Too late. The writers for this game already did. They spent the last game having Adam look for Megan only to ditch her character entirely for this game.
I need to pay you a visit.
Jensen! Now's actually a really good time for me, like right now!
Something wrong?
There are some guys in my bookshop. Pissed off the valley gangster-looking guys.
Mob gangsters can lock down an entire block of the city while raiding an illegal augmentation clinic right next to a police checkpoint. And this is a city that's basically under martial law after the bombing. I'm getting some serious Prince vibes from this guy.
My systems took a hit. I was hoping you could help me get everything running again.
It's kind of weird that after being close to an explosion in this game, Adam's logs start malfunctioning. Yet in the last game, after he's caught an explosion, they were just fine.
The shit I found hidden inside you, spliced into your system like that, looks to me like it's from Mars, man.
At some point in the last 2 years, someone installed experimental logs into Adam without him knowing, but left them turned off, and when Collar turns them on, it nearly kills Adam. If someone was going to install a bunch of logs into Adam without him knowing, why would they make it so that turning them on would kill him without an emergency shutdown and reboot? Also, there can be no doubt this is just an excuse so the previous logs Adam received in the last game have to be reactivated.
The shit I found hidden inside you, spliced into your system like that, looks to me like it's from Mars, man.
I'm pretty sure they're not from Mars.
Adam cannot recognize sarcasm.
Hand it over. You better hope all your paperwork is in order, Hanser.
Please hold while we load rest of level, yes? I've never seen a Papers, Please loading gate before, and I admire their creativity, but it's still an obtrusive loading gate.
The thing is, I think I found something in there, something big, something that could just blow this case wide open. I just need to get a look at the scan of the blast area.
So what's on the scan?
Oh, that. I have no idea.
What? You told me you found something big.
I didn't say I knew what it was, Adam. I said it was something that could blow this case wide open.
Smiley doesn't know what it is he found or if it's even big, but he's sure that it'll blow the bombing case wide open.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not buying this whole ARC did it angle. I believe what the evidence tells me.
The evidence hasn't told you anything yet. Adam just got it for you and you haven't analyzed it.
Adam, I'm Delaro Zen. I've seen footage from the train station, but being there must have...
Adam doesn't realize that his psychologist Delara is the same woman he woke up beside on the train into Prague right before the station was bombed, meaning she was present for the explosion and wouldn't have needed to see footage of the attack. Also, Delara is an Illuminati plant here to keep an eye on Adam, so you would think that she wouldn't go around risking her cover by sleeping next to Adam on a train and then pretending like she was never there when speaking to him later.
Please, have a seat.
Delara tells Adam to have a seat for their session, and yet he remains standing.
Not everyone's as familiar with US history as you Americans would like to believe, you know.
Taking your accent into account, there's really only two countries you could come from, the US or Canada, and Canadians tend to know US history and current events just as well as Americans. Alex apparently waits around in empty rooms of abandoned buildings with her cloak on for no reason. It's just the two of them, and she had no problem walking through a security checkpoint earlier.
We've been working together for a few months now. Still don't know much about you.
What, you trolling for my secrets now?
Since no one bothered playing Deus Ex The Fall on their tablets, this game now has to explain Alex's history for it. This is why you don't use spin-off game details in the main series. And Alex goes back into stealth mode when she's done talking. There's no one here but you and Adam. Why cloak?
They show an org in a yellow hoodie, dropping bags where each bomb went off. Couldn't see his face, but the bags are the same ones used by Tellus Rucker and his aid workers in the Utilet complex.
You would think that if Rucker was going to have the metro station bombed, he wouldn't have someone put the bombs in bags that have his name on them. This is such an obvious setup that Miller should easily spot it. This makes the second time that Adam has watched the Exposition News Network while in a VTOL. This time it's even reporting on his target.
Not many spots I can set her down. Go to preference.
Get as close to the ground as you can. I'll take it from there.
Are you forgetting that you have an AUG that lets you fall from great heights? You could have Chicane drop you right at Rucker's office instead of outside the complex.
Jensen, still got all your parts together?
All he did was step off the ramp on the back of the VTOL. I would hope he could manage that without destroying himself. Cyberpunk Lazarevich. Actually, I think I've seen this exact same character build whenever a game has a big Eastern European guy as a villain.
The cops wouldn't be here if ARC hadn't blown up a train station.
And where is the evidence?
But you're not denying it.
Sometimes blood needs to be shed in order to get people to pay attention.
Marchenko pretty much just admitted to being behind the bombing, yet Adam doesn't follow up on this until much later.
And what about the innocent people caught in the crossfire?
What is that term you Americans use? Collateral damage.
It really strokes my American ego when I hear someone with an accent say this line, but it doesn't stroke it enough to make me ignore the fact that collateral damage is a term used in many more places than the US. Game transitions from in-game to pre-rendered cutscene and expects me to not notice the change in lighting and how much better the lip syncing is. Let's just randomly focus on this alcohol and glass for no soon-to-be important reason.
You don't seem surprised to see me.
I'm not. After the train station attacks, I knew it was only a matter of time before they sent someone.
If you expected someone from Interpol was coming, and you're a pacifist that wants to prove ARC is innocent, and you know that some of the people who follow you are armed and violent towards cops, why didn't you tell them to stand down and let Adam through? You don't need to keep cutting back to the glass. We get it. Rucker's been poisoned. These conversation minigames are basically Adam doing his own version of game sense. However, he's a cheater who uses a conversation analyzer to find sins in their arguments.
I suspect there's a power struggle brewing within our organization. Some people inside ARC are less committed to our ideals.
Are you trying to tell me you know who's responsible for the bombings?
I have only suspicions.
Probably that guy who strongly hinted at bombing the station. I bet it was him.
To find out who is responsible.
Lacey broke that damn glass as he died. Joseph Manderley, the head of Task Force 21, signed his initials on the bottom of the order he sent to Marchenko to start framing ARC for terrorism. However, neither Adam nor Alex ever realized this pretty big clue that confirms their suspicions that Task Force 21 works for the Illuminati. Also, why the hell did Manderley cut so many letters out of his words in this message? Did he send this by Twitter? None of these guys can hit Adam even with automatic weapons, a clear shot, and when he makes it easy for them by standing still in the back of the VTOL. You can always tell who the main villain is by waiting for a shot of their feet. Any particular reason you want them to stop shooting?
The bomb's timing mechanism was a wristwatch?
Well, to address your incredulous tone, a mechanical timing mechanism is not as silly as it sounds. Security scanners can detect anything with a suspicious electronic circuit, so using a low-tech solution is really clever.
But most IEDs just use a simple phone or radio receiver to set off the bomb. How would a scanner differentiate one attached to a bomb from one being used normally accurately enough that someone would need to use a mechanical wristwatch as the timer? The Diwali crime family who are working for the Illuminati tried to kill the watchmaker Stanek by booby-trapping his apartment with poison gas that activates when he turns on his computer. And on top of trying to kill him in an over-the-top manner, Stanek isn't even the one who made the bomb. It was his daughter. Super secret Interpol task force agents conduct a high-profile interrogation into terrorism in a public bar with patrons within listening distance.
Hey, thanks for being quick. Didn't want to be seen hanging around by myself for too long in case you got held up.
How would anyone have seen you? You were cloaked when Adam showed up, and from what I've seen, you remain cloaked at all times. In order to find out if Miller is working for the Illuminati, Adam has to log into the neural subnet as him to see a recording of a meeting Miller was in. And of course the whole sequence plays like a game you would get for free on your tablet. Why would anyone ever design a system that requires you to solve puzzles to watch a video in a VR space? Miller logged out of the neural subnet after getting his orders from Manderley, meaning his recording should end there. Yet it keeps going and shows a conversation between Manderley and Bob Page about assassinating Rucker. Considering that Miller is just a soldier following orders and doesn't know anything about the Illuminati, this is incredibly stupid they would allow Miller to view recordings like this anytime he wanted. Janus either has a bad connection or he intentionally makes his video feeds look this glitchy for dramatic effect. Also, with a black suit, pitch-shifted voice, and constantly changing face, this is pretty clearly a reference to Anonymous.
Doesn't mean we can't arrest both of them for conspiracy to commit murder. We heard Page give the order to kill Rucker.
In a recorded conversation that you obtained illegally. It's fruit from the poisonous tree, Mr. Jensen. It won't stand up in court.
True, but you could still release the recording to the public. Conspiracy to commit murder would probably hurt Bob Page's business and Manderley's career, and would tell the Augs who to blame for Rucker's death.
Mr. Jensen, it's Nomad Stanek. Please, you must help.
Stanek, the father of the woman who built the bomb, somehow contacts Adam over his communicator even though Adam never gave him a way of doing that. How is it that a group of heavily armed and augmented cultists who worship the machine god are allowed to stay in Prague and not be shipped off to Golem City with the rest of the other non-violent Augs? It seems like these would be the first people to go.
I want to ask you about the bombs you built for the attack on Ruzicka Station.
Is that all? My augmented brother Victor is a brave man and a great leader. When he asked me to build some of my little ones for him, I was proud to accept.
I don't really understand why the Illuminati turned to this group of religious zealots to make bombs for them. The Illuminati secretly control most of the world. I think they can build their own bombs that can get past security scanners.
Victor moved his base of operations to a research center in the Swiss Alps. Garm, I believe it is called.
Marchenko name-dropped the name and location of his secret research base. Just why any of that? She gives up all this information easily to Adam just because he's augmented as well. Once again, the pre-rendered cutscene differs from the in-game cutscene. In the pre-rendered scene, multiple cultists are strapped to this tower and uploading their conscience to a computer. In the in-game cutscene, it's empty of people.
This is the Ascension. I would invite you to come with us, but there is no more room.
There's plenty of room. Like, all of the room, actually.
Take this. You can use it to defuse my little ones.
The bombs you've been building for Marchenko use analog watches as a timing mechanism so they can be snuck past security scanners. So how could you shut them down remotely using a multi-tool? Everyone who builds a bomb always builds a way to easily shut the bomb down. Even if when they built the bomb they were a true believer in the cause and had no reason to create a shutdown switch. Unless you have an AUG that keeps you from freezing to death, you should be wearing something warmer when on top of a mountain in the Alps. Marchenko somehow knew that Adam was coming but waited patiently for him to open the door so he could knock it open. And the door slamming into Adam roughed him up nearly as bad as the bombing did. I'm surprised his augmentations aren't glitching again. Marchenko injects Adam with the Orchid virus he used to kill Rucker, but then doesn't kill Adam in a more conventional way when it doesn't affect him due to his genetics, assuming instead that it just takes longer to kill someone like Adam who is more augmented than Rucker was. All I'm saying is that dragging Adam away and throwing him in an empty lot while still alive and with all of his weapons and equipment without making sure he's dead was a bit foolish.
Flying back to Prague.
We need to meet with those devoted beings. Need them to accelerate the timeline so our shipment clears customs immediately.
Marchenko proceeds to spill all the important details about where he's going next while he thinks Adam is unconscious and dying. Villains do that way too much these days. On top of every other Bond villain level stupid thing Marchenko has done, he also left the injector of the Orchid virus stuck inside Adam, letting him take a sample of it back to Alex.
Don't know why he didn't listen.
Why exactly would two Czech police officers be talking to each other in both English and Czech? Hey Alex, still cloaking in an empty building I see.
We can still limit the damage. We do not know what these people have planned for London. It could be...
I decide how the Valley do business, not you.
But it's Orchid. You want to deliver to the Safe Harbor Convention before it even begins.
The Diwali are in charge of smuggling the Orchid to the Safe Harbor Convention in London in order to assassinate Brown, a real estate developer building a city for Oggs and is against the Human Restoration Act. However, the way they talk about the shipment makes it sound like it hasn't been shipped yet. Adam overhears the plans for the London Convention attack and flies there with Task Force 21 right after this. Yet somehow Marchenko already has Orchid on hand to kill everyone, and Adam even reads the emails on the computer that spells out where the shipment was left. Why didn't they seize it? They had 2 days notice about the attack on the convention center. If they couldn't be cancelled, they could have at least moved it to another location. Or they could have locked this building down to make sure Marchenko and his men didn't sneak in.
Mac, you and your team will rendezvous with our London division. Secure the perimeter until I tell you to come back in.
It's not already? You had 2 days notice.
The men planning to attack here tonight are no ordinary extremists. They murdered Talos Rucker, and they want to frame the Augmented Rights Coalition if their attack tonight succeeds.
How would that even work? Brown is against the Anti-Aug Human Restoration Act. At least Rucker's death was blamed on anti-Aug government agents. The moment Adam discovers that Tarvo's security is actually Marchenko's men, the conference should be cancelled and Brown and the VIPs escorted out of the building. Instead, no one even mentions it to them and they continue to party and get ready to drink champagne contaminated by Orchid.
You should be dead, Adam Jensen. Instead, you show up here with your comrades in tow.
Well, you are to blame for that. You've had ample opportunity to kill him. Brown must be giving the longest toast of all time, because the dose champagne is already being served. Yet Adam is able to get from catering to the convention hall in time to stop anyone from drinking it.
Because of your interference, I had to place explosives in the residential towers across the way. I can send a detonation signal at any time.
Did you really need Orchid to kill everyone here if you planted bombs in all the surrounding buildings? Just plant one in this building too and blow it up. Also, how come you have a remote detonator for bombs that use analog wristwatches as a timer? You should have deactivated his bombs the moment he told you about them on the radio. Why did you wait until now? No one ever said that you needed to be close for the multi-tool to work. Mankind Divided learned a lesson on boss fights from Human Revolution and had only one boss that can be beaten multiple ways. Why call it Prague Praha now after previously labeling it as Prague? Yeah, I know that Czechs actually call it Praha, but this game has been referring to it as Prague the entire game. This just makes it sound like Adam is in some other city. And here's the Exposition News Network with a report on any unresolved plot points. Make sure you tune in every night when we ruin what could have been an otherwise decent ending to the game you paid $60 for.
How close is he to contact with Janus?
Very.
It's only a matter of time.
Sequel baiting.
I never asked for this.